Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dig into a figure we all think we know, the biblical prophet. And we're going to pull back the curtain on this really powerful three-step pattern that's kind of hidden in their work. It's a pattern that, honestly, can help us make sense of our own kind of chaotic world and maybe, just maybe, find a way forward.
So let's just start with a quick question. When I say biblical prophet, what's the first image that pops into your head? Come on, be honest. Yeah, for a lot of us, I bet it's something straight out of Hollywood, right? Some wild-eyed guy, maybe living in a cave, shouting about things that are going to happen way, way in the future.
And this slide, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? That movie stereotype versus the actual reality. Prophets weren't these isolated fortune tellers with crystal balls. No way. They were real people from all sorts of backgrounds. And their real job, their most important job, wasn't to predict the future. It was to look at the present, right now, and challenge it, to open our eyes to brand new possibilities.
All right, so here's where we're headed. First, we're going to look beyond that crystal ball stereotype. Then, we'll unpack the core pattern of prophecy that I mentioned. After that, we'll see what happens when order breaks down, how prophets help us envision a whole new reality, and finally, this is the good part, how we can use all of this to find our own good news.
Okay, first up, let's get beyond that crystal ball. Who were these people really? And you'll see the reality is way more down-to-earth and relatable than you might imagine.
Just look at this list. It's pretty incredible. You had shepherds, vineyard owners, priests, scribes, you even had government workers. These folks were part of the fabric of their communities. This wasn't about being separated from society. It was about speaking directly into the heart of it, from the inside.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of it all, the prophetic pattern. It's a surprisingly simple three-step journey that you see over and over again. And once you see it, you'll understand exactly what prophets actually do.
So here it is, the whole pattern. First, you've got order. This is the way things are, the status quo. It feels stable, comfortable, even if it's actually really flawed or even oppressive. Then, boom, disorder hits. The system breaks, everything falls apart, and all its hidden problems come rushing to the surface. But, and this is the crucial part, it doesn't stop there. The final step is reorder, and that's where the prophet shares a vision for a totally new and much better way forward.
All right, let's talk about that messy middle step. Disorder. This is the moment of crisis, the painful collapse of what used to be, and yeah, it feels chaotic, it feels terrible, but it is absolutely essential for any real change to happen.
So, for our first example, let's jump back to the prophet Haggai. He was talking to the people of Israel right after they were allowed to go back home to Judea, after 70 years of exile in Babylon. Now, you'd think, wow, this is amazing, party time, but not so much. See, the thing is, their order, their normal, had become life in exile. Sure, it was oppressive, but after 70 years, it was familiar. It was, well, safe. So believe it or not, the disorder was coming home. They didn't return to some glorious kingdom. They came back to rubble, to the ghost of a memory. The despair was just crushing.
And this quote from Haggai, man, it just nails that feeling. He's basically holding up a mirror and saying, look, just look at this. He's forcing them to face their despair head on. They're stuck between this perfect memory of the past and the awful reality of the present, and they just can't see a future.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit for our next example. This time, it involves a really clever trap. This group called the Sadducees, who, by the way, didn't believe in the resurrection, came to Jesus with this complicated theological puzzle designed to prove he was wrong. And what they do is they use this exact pattern to try and trip him up. They start with the order, these super rigid, complicated laws about marriage and who inherits what. Then, they introduce a new idea, the resurrection, to create disorder. They cook up this scenario that creates a paradox, a situation the old rules just can't solve. Classic move, right? They thought, gotcha, no way out of this one.
Okay, so this all might feel ancient, but it brings us right to today. We experience this sense of disorder constantly. In fact, we even have a name for it. Doom scrolling. You know what I'm talking about. It's that feeling, that endless scroll of bad news, just one thing after another until you're completely overwhelmed and hopeless.
And it's not just in our heads. We see it everywhere. Political polarization, real wars, disinformation flying around, a general breakdown of trust. We just scroll through this never-ending feed of disorder. And here's the real danger. We get so used to it, we start to think this chaos is just normal.
So, how do we break the cycle? If we're stuck in all this disorder, what's the way out? This right here is where the prophet does their most important work. It's not about predicting the future, it's about envisioning it. It's all about lifting our eyes from what is to what could be.
So for Haggai, talking to those totally dejected exiles, reorder wasn't just, hey, let's rebuild the temple. No, he offered something way deeper, shalom. And shalom isn't just the absence of conflict. It's this deep, all-encompassing peace and wholeness. It's harmony, well-being. It's about everything being put right.
And what about Jesus' answer to the Sadducees? It was absolutely radical. He doesn't even play their game. He doesn't try to patch up their broken system. He just flips the whole board over and shows them a completely new one. His vision of reorder wasn't about the same old life with its complicated rules. No, it was about a life that's totally transformed, a new kind of life where those old limitations just don't exist anymore.
All right, so let's bring this all back to us. Right here, right now. Because this ancient pattern isn't just some interesting history lesson. It's a tool for us. This is about how we stop just being spectators of the chaos and actually become agents of reorder.
And that vision? It's not some floaty, abstract idea. This is what it looks like on the ground. It's a series of choices, a call to action. It's about choosing to rebuild instead of tear down, to heal instead of hurt, to bless instead of curse. This is the real-world blueprint for reordering our own lives and communities.
So I want you to just take a second. Think about your world, your community, your family, your own life. Where do you see the breakdown? Where's the disorder? And it's important to really name it, to see it clearly, without just getting sucked into the despair.
Okay, now for the second and maybe more important question. In that broken place, where does someone desperately need to hear some good news? Who needs a glimpse of hope? Who needs to be reminded of what's possible?
And that right there, that's it. That's your starting point. Because being a prophet, you see, isn't about telling the future. It's about seeing the mess, and instead of despairing, you choose to speak and act with a vision of what could be better. Finding that spot and bringing that good news in your own way, that is how you create your new order.